The cultural studies approach to media analysis focuses on the production, circulation, and interpretation of meaning within media texts. It departs from the idea that media messages carry fixed meanings or that audiences are passive consumers. Instead, it views media as a site of ideological negotiation, where social groups struggle over representation, identity, and power. This approach emerged in the 1960s and 1970s, most prominently through the work of the Centre for Contemporary Cultural Studies, CCCS, at the University of Birmingham in the UK. Led by scholars such as Richard Hoggett, Stuart Hall, and Paul Gilroy, the cultural studies tradition challenged dominant models of communication that ignored race, class, gender, and everyday lived experience. 1. Key assumptions. Cultural studies rests on several key premises. Meaning is not fixed in media texts, it is produced through interpretation. Audiences are active agents, not passive receivers. Media representations shape and reflect social identities, including class, gender, race, and sexuality. Power operates not only economically, but symbolically, through language, visuals, and cultural codes. Rather than analyzing media only through ownership or economic structure, as in the political economy approach, cultural studies emphasizes the micropolitics of meaning and how audiences may accept, negotiate, or resist dominant messages. 2. Encoding, decoding. Stuart Hall's contribution. One of the most influential concepts within cultural studies is Stuart Hall's encoding, decoding model, 1980. According to Hall, media producers encode texts with preferred meanings, often aligned with dominant ideologies. Audiences decode these texts in three possible ways: dominant hegemonic, accepting the preferred meaning; negotiated, partially accepting and partially questioning; oppositional, actively resisting or rejecting the message. This model broke from linear sender-message-receiver theories and introduced the idea that media meaning is contested and dependent on cultural, social, and individual contexts. 3. Representation and identity. Cultural studies scholars also focus on how media constructs identity. Representation is not neutral, it plays a key role in maintaining or challenging social hierarchies. Feminist theorists like Angela McRobbie, post-colonial scholars like Homi Bhabha, and critical race theorists like Bell Hooks and Stuart Hall have all emphasized the politics of visibility and voice in media texts. Key questions include: who is seen and who is invisible? Whose perspective is normalized? How are gender, race, and nation encoded in media narratives? Media thus becomes a space where ideologies are naturalized or contested, shaping the way we understand the world and ourselves. 4. Resistance and popular culture. Unlike the political economy approach, cultural studies pays close attention to popular culture and how marginalized groups use media for resistance, re-signification, and identity formation. Examples include subcultures using fashion, music, and media to challenge mainstream norms. Online communities creating counter-narratives on platforms like YouTube or TikTok. Viewers interpreting media texts in ways that contradict intended ideological messages. In this view, media audiences are not just influenced, they are co-creators of meaning. 5. Criticisms and ongoing relevance. Critics have argued that cultural studies sometimes underplays structural economic forces or overemphasizes agency. However, its focus on culture, representation, and identity remains essential, particularly in an era of global media, platform capitalism, and algorithmic personalization. Today, cultural studies has evolved to address issues of intersectionality, platform politics, and digital identity, making it one of the most adaptive and critical lenses in media analysis. 6. Conclusion. The cultural studies approach reminds us that media is not only what is produced, but also how it is understood, negotiated, and lived. Meaning is dynamic and contested, not delivered in one direction. Identity and ideology are constantly at stake in the act of media consumption. It teaches us that to study media critically, we must listen not only to what is said, but also to who is interpreting, and from where. Culture is not simply imposed, it is where meanings are made, fought over, and sometimes remade. Stuart Hall.